And today we are going to discuss what we have to do psychologically and what we have to do physically. Because with regarding to understanding and enlightenment, we have find out we have no necessity, we have no duty to do anything psychologically. So the total freedom of responsibility in the psychological world is the understanding of that is enlightenment. And with the help of enlightenment, we got liberation or awakening. So the awakening or liberation is the natural functioning of our mind. If the mind has to function naturally, we have to be free without any responsibility. If you assume any responsibility or if you take any responsibility to shape ourselves, we are dealing our mind manually. If you do not do anything manually in the psychological world, our total mind functions in a liberated way, in a natural way. So the natural functioning of our mind is known as liberation or awakening. For that, our responsibility is that we have to understand that there is no responsibility psychologically. But at the same time, we have many responsibility in the world, in our house, in our family, in our relationship, in our society. So here, we cannot separate the physical world and the psychological world. It is interconnected. So we have to understand what is the limitation of the psychological world and what is the limitation of the physical world. Then only we can come to a conclusion what we have to do psychologically or what we have to do physically. So in that aspect, now we are going to discuss in various aspects what is psychological aspect and what is the physical aspect. And this is the topic for today. And you may also contribute. In the beginning, I may say something. So psychological world is concerned, for example, when I face a situation, the situation may be unwanted situation. For example, some person or some situation that I don't like. But I meet the situation, I face the situation. So the situation creates a response within myself. I may feel having some tension, I may have feeling some agitation within myself. For the agitation and the tension, the situation may be the reason. The person before me may be the reason. But we feel some tension, some restlessness within my mind. So here, what we have to do in that situation? Is there anything for us, anything for me to construct my mind, construct my reaction in a peaceful situation so that I may not entertain any response, so I can be peaceful always, whether I face a good situation or bad situation, whether I have to keep myself in a peaceful situation, peaceful condition always. But the response is here and now. I am facing a problem externally and have a response psychologically. And now our understanding says we have no business psychologically. So here, what is action in our hand? And here, we have, if the situation is worse, we have to change the situation. For that, we can make use of our mind. Without the help of the mind, we cannot do anything in the external world. So we have to use our mind. We have to use our emotions, everything to change the situation. If the situation is good, we can appreciate and we can entertain the situation. If the situation is not good, we have to change the situation. But at the same time, we do not have any work psychologically. That we have to understand. But here on the outside it may look, if I do not do anything psychologically, the tension may prevail continuously. If I do not do anything psychologically, we may think the anger, the fear, sorrow, anything may continue. It may continue continuously. But the nature of the mind is moment by moment new. The emotion is just like a response, just like an image in the mirror. It comes when the situation is like that, natural response will be there. The next moment the response will go away. But whenever we take some responsibility to deal with ourselves psychologically, we are unconsciously giving strength to the emotions within ourselves. So if you do not do anything psychologically, whatever we are having psychologically, the response will go away naturally. The natural and free movement of our psychological structure is the awakening state. So in the awakening state, everything will be normal, everything will be okay. We need not worry about to set right the psychological structure of our mind. So psychological structure is for itself, it is an automatic process. It is setting right for itself. We need not manually try anything to set it right. For example, we are having some vessel. In the vessel we are having full of water. And if you place the tip of the finger on the top of in the surface of the water, we'll have a ripple just like in a rounded way. Just like a wave, it will create a wave in a rounded way. So, what we have to do to settle down the wave of the water? If we smear the hand around the water to settle down the wave, thereby we are encouraging the wave. So if you leave the water as it is, it will be settled on its own. So in this way, whatever we are having in the psychological world, it will be all right in the natural way, in the natural course of time. But whenever we are entering ourselves to settle down everything, then we are creating some unnecessary struggle, unnecessary tension, unnecessary war within ourselves. So psychologically we have no work. But at the same time, the physical world is concerned, there are many problems. We cannot leave it as it is. If we leave it as it is, the problem will exist. The problem will continue. So, if the external world is concerned, we have to use our mind. We have to use our tension. We have to use our emotions to the possible extent. But related to the external world, we have to maintain some order. As we are having some fear or anger, we cannot express as it is. So, whatever we are doing in the external world, it must have some order. It must have some regulation. As even though we may have some anger, fear or anything, we should not express it as it is. So here, but at the same time, some order must be there in the external world. We have to change the situation. But we have no option to change ourselves psychologically. So that is the basic difference between the physical world and the psychological world. So psychologically, we should not have any responsibility. So if we assume any responsibility, that is the sign of our struggle, that is against the liberation. So liberation is our natural state and it has to come in a natural way. If you try even for liberation, even for awakening, it is create some nuisance within ourselves. So psychologically, everything must be natural. We should not have any work. So in our scriptures also, there may be many sayings. For example, everything is done by God. You have no action. You have to keep yourself without any work. So everything is Brahm or everything is Maya. So there are many concepts like that. So everything is suits in the psychological matter. We may take everything as Maya or dream in the psychological world, or everything as Brahm. Everything is okay, because when we take everything as Brahm or everything is the action of God, that means we don't have any action within ourselves. So with the psychological world alone, all philosophy are good. All philosophy can be used in a total possibilities. But it is not good to the excitation. It is not good to the external world. If you take everything is done by God, that means we don't have any responsibility. So in the external world is concerned, we have to establish ourselves. We have to establish our duty. But in the psychological world is concerned, you may assume any philosophy, you may take any philosophy. All philosophies are good. If you take everything is done by God, or everything is Brahm, or everything is Maya, everything is illusion, everything is a dream, everything is good, because when everything is a dream, everything is Maya, we have no business to do anything for ourselves. So psychological world is concerned, all philosophies are good. But in the physical world is concerned, we have to have our order, we have to have our regulation, we have to have our discipline. Then only we can have a good society, good situation, good work. So physical is different and the psychological world is different. Psychological dealing is different. Psychologically, we have no business to do anything. So, but at the same time, the psychological world and the physical world is interconnected. We can make the psychological world to the external world, but at the same time, we should not we should not have the intention to keep the psychological world in a perfect condition. But we have the responsibility to keep the physical world in a perfect condition. But the rule is different with related to the psychological world. The psychological world is concerned, we must give total freedom to the psychological world. We should not take any step within the psychological world. We should not change anything in the psychological world. So then only we are giving whenever we are giving total freedom to the psychological world, the psychological world function in a free state, in a liberated state, in the awakened state. So here, the main thing we have to understand is that we have no work in the psychological world. So that is the main thing. For that we can make use of all philosophy or anything. Then we can come to a conclusion. If we come to a conclusion, then everything will be all right. So this is some summary or some introduction of the subject. And in that subject or in that topic, we may contribute something so that we can discuss further.
When you speak about the psychological world, could you just say what you mean by this? What is included in this?
Psychological world means what we are, for example, we are having some response. Each and every moment we have some thought, psychological responses, psychological thinking. That means we think we are having some quality of our mind, we are having some intention. So we may think we are a good person, we are a bad person, we are having some good emotions, bad emotion, we are having some good character, bad character. So the totality of yourself, the totality of your mind is psychological world. But the physical world is made up of some actions. There are many persons, many situations, that is different. But psychologically, you are somebody. The psychological somebody, the psychological status, the mind structure, everything is psychological. But we have no responsibility to change the structure of your mind, the structure of your character, structure of your emotions. So only for the beginners we can do something. So the yoga is meant for creating some design, creating some structure within yourself. You thereby through yoga you can create yourself, you can mold yourself, you can design yourself. So it is only for the beginners. For the beginners, that is okay. Everything is okay. You can design yourself, you can make yourself. This is like this is like that. Everything is there. You can make yourself. You can create yourself. But after the end of the beginning period, after the end of the preliminary period, then you have to give total freedom to your psychological functioning. Then you should not assume any work for yourself. So that is the meaning behind the psychological structure. You have no business to separate your psychological structure.
No business to the psychological world. I want to understand, like, how do we handle fear, especially this issue of fear, because there are so many, like, there are certain things towards which we have a very deep sense of fear, and in my case, I have a very unique fear, that the fear of realization, even though there is a deep yearning for that, but at the same time, I went to some place in 2009 where there was a kind of a retreat, and one of the guys, there were monks who were giving sort of a, I don't know, Shakti Pad or whatever it was, and they were putting hands on every person's head. And there was a mechanical engineer whom I met just before the retreat, and he had done that course before. And he said that when he did it last time, that the monk, when he touched his hand, there was a bug in front of him, and he said that suddenly he experienced that there was an experience of absolute oneness with that bug for him. And he said it was the most beautiful experience. And instead of feeling happy, and even though a part of me was excited and happy, but I became totally terrified hearing that oh my God, is something like that going to happen to me? And then when I was sitting in the course, like, the monk started touching different people, and some people are laughing like monsters, and some people are crying like crazy. And I was so terrified that what is going to happen to me? Am I going to be transported in some timeless, spaceless dimension? And since then, this fear, it became so dominant in me that it's like I never experienced, like, I learned certain modalities of healings, and I became, like, the healing, there was a phase in my life where the healing became very powerful. Like, I knew that I was not doing, I was just being used as a channel, and this energy used to come, and the people who were sitting, like people who were in depression for years, it just got over in one session. And people would see light, or some people would start moving, and different kind of things would happen. That was a phase in my life. And so many kinds of vision people will get, but I will never get anything out of it. Like, I will not see even a point of light or anything, because I always had the fear. Then I went to many yogis. I stayed with a very highly realized yogi. He said, you stay for 50 days and I can awaken your Kundalini. Even though I knew that this is not the ultimate, but still I felt like it will take me at least to somewhere. I stayed and he tried many times, but every time he was to try, but I used to get so terrified. And I had been doing many things like self-inquiry, inquiry into this, in the nature of this individual self, and many other stuff, and it has helped me a lot, like where I was spontaneous. But still this fear is always there. Like, whenever my mind senses even a slight possibility that something might lead me towards direct experience, I become terrified. And I just want to ask you, like, what do I do with it? Like, I feel so helpless over it.
So here, so when you meet your close friend, is there any fear? No. So if you face some unwanted situation, you may have some fear. So if you are in a good situation, some good response alone will be there. So whatever we are having is only a response. It is a reaction. There is no permanent thing within yourself. Just like a mirror, our mind is a kind of mirror. Whatever comes in front of the mirror, some response will be there. The response is not a natural thing. It is not a permanent thing. It is a momentary thing. Whoever crosses in front of the mirror, the response will be there related to the situation. So in this way, the real fear is not the problem. You have some idea with some thing you are related. The idea you have with related to some that thing, it creates some response within yourself. Your fear is only a response. It is not a real thing. You will have an image within yourself. Thereby you are making, so you approach certain things in a way, thereby you have the response like that. So here you need not worry about the image. What kind of relationship you are having with the external world, that alone is the matter. But it is not at all a matter. Fear is not at all a matter. It is a response. It is a momentary one. You need not try, whenever you try to separate the image, it is a lifelong process. For example, whenever you go, your shadow will follow you. If you threaten the shadow to go away from you, it will not go away from you. But you don't mind the shadow, that is the end of the shadow. You need not worry about the shadow. So in this way, you need not worry about the image of anything in the form of fear, anger, anything. Whether if it is psychological and it is in the form of response, you need not worry about that. It will set it right all on its own. You need not worry about that. So whatever thing we have is only to face the situation. If you're facing the situation in a perfect way, so related image will be there, related response will be there. So for example, I am in my childhood, as a boyhood, when I was around 16 or 18 years old, I was going to school education, and my house is situated in a village. It is not a city, it is a small village. And one day I go to my school, and I have a entrance, we have a big garden, and amidst the garden we have our house. And in the garden some back door is there and front door is there. But if I select the back door, it is a shortcut to my school. And if I select this shortcut, I have to cross 2 streets on the way. So one day I select this shortcut and I go in the back door of my garden. And when I go on the way, we have a dog in our house, some little dog. The dog also followed me. So the problem is that when I go along with the dog, there are many other dogs in the streets we have to cross. So if I go along with our dog, the other dogs will be captured our dog. So that is the problem. So that is the danger if I take my dog along with me. So if I try to force the dog to go back to the house, but it refused and it lead me before. So I have to face the situation, face the problem along with the dog itself. So the dog goes in front of me. So as I expected, many dogs surrounded. When I reach the next street, many dogs surrounded my dog. So now what will be the position? So the dog has to escape. naturally it will have the fear of the dogs, because all the dogs are very ferocious, and they are in the junction of biting my dog. So the dog is, naturally the dog will have fear. And I have no option, because I cannot chase the other dogs, because the dogs are many. If it is a single dog, I can chase the dog by throwing a stone or anything. I can drive away the other dog. But here, the other dogs are many. So now, what happened is that the dogs is frightened. There is no doubt about it. But what actually behaved is that, for example, you gone abroad for several years, and after several years you return to your own house. And when you return to your own house and meet your friends, and how will you behave? So you inquire, how are you? You show your love and affection to all of you in front of you. So in this way, the dog also trying to behave as if as a friend, as a close friend, so showing some behaving the tail of the dog like this, and creating some noise, such a friendly noise, so behaving like that. So just behaving like that, it creates a gap among the dogs, and by creating the gap between the dogs, it escaped from that gap. So naturally, the fear is natural, but at the same time, it is not taking the fear in its hand, but at the same time, it disregards the fear and behave in a different way. It is capable. So in this way, whenever you face a situation, you need not worry about the response. Even a dog has the capacity to disregard his response and behave what is the necessary response to the situation. For example, if I put my hand here and place some box weighing 50 kilograms, and the weight will be crushed my hand. I will not have any power to handle the weight. But at the same time, if I want to lift a box weighing 50 kilogram, we'll have the strength to lift the box. So even though I have no power, naturally the necessary power will come. Whenever I want to lift the box, necessary power will come. So everything comes from me. We need not worry about this thing. We need not worry about to settle. You need not settle yourself. You need not plan yourself. Whenever we have the option to lift a box, then naturally the strength will come. So when the matter is over, the strength will go away from my hand. So in this way, whenever you face a situation, the natural response will be coming. But the main thing is that we should not be adamant with our emotions or anything. So here, if you want to keep any emotion or want to drive away any emotion, thereby we are trying to shape our emotions within ourselves. We are trying to keep control of our emotions within ourselves. So the trying to keep control of any emotion means we are giving strength to the emotion. But the main thing is that we should disregard the emotion. Whatever, let it be. Fear may be there, anger may be there, some good emotion may be there, bad emotion may be there. If you disregard anything, it will go away naturally. We need not worry about that. For example, we are sitting in the room here without any tension to go away, without any work, without any worry. We are having a relaxed condition, we are here. There is no urgency to go away. But at the same time, if anybody comes and close the door outside and keep ourselves within the room, then we all will give energetic. So we all get energetic and want to open the door. So then only we will be all right. So here, when we do so whenever in this way, whenever anything will be under control, so we'll form some energetic. So in this way, if you try to have the control of your emotion, thereby all emotions will be powerful. So if you don't control any emotion, it will go away on its own. you need not worry about any emotion. So all emotion is meaningless, comes and goes in a natural way. If it is necessary, you can make of your emotion to the external world. If it is not necessary, you need not worry about any emotions. For example, one day you go for a walk on a in the early night of the day, and the path is not good. Some bushes are there. It is very dark. So you are afraid. You have some fear. Some snake may be there on the way. So what you do with the help of the fear, you take the torch and you walk carefully. Thereby, if you do not have the fear, you will walk straightly without any torch or without any carefulness. But when the fear gives a chance to take the torch and walk carefully. Thereby, you can avoid the snakes. But if otherwise, you may even tread upon the snake itself. So here you can make use of emotion to the external world, but the emotion in itself, it does not have any meaning. So whatever comes in the psychological world has to disappear in the natural way. So that is the natural condition of our mind. But in the external world is concerned, we can make use of emotion, make use of everything. But in the psychological world is concerned, we have no business to deal with ourselves psychologically. Whatever comes, let it come. We have no business. So if you give total freedom to the psychological structure, everything will be normal, everything will be natural. And your problem will be all right in the natural way. You need not, whenever you try to separate yourself, you have to work lifelong. You cannot succeed. So whenever you give total freedom to yourself psychologically, everything will be all right in the natural way.
You will say that the physiological, if I understand the physiological aspect of ourselves, what takes place on the mind, it should be let free. It's up to God. We can say that it's up to God. But the world, the actions, is up to us. Can I repeat the question? Can you repeat the question? Yeah. So the psychological aspect is meant to be let free because it's up to God or to the universe or up to whatever it is, the power that creates. But the world is up to us.
Yeah, so what he's saying is the psychological world has to be left free, but the physical world is left to us to act. This is what he's asking.
Yeah, that is.
So
Physically you have to work, but we have to work with the help of our mind. Without the help of the mind, you cannot work. So you can use your mind. You can use your mind to deal with the situation. But we cannot use our mind against the mind. Using the mind against the mind is not good. But using the mind against the world, in favor of the mind against the world, everything is good. With the help of the mind alone, we can do everything in the world. But we have no business for the mind to do anything for the mind, in favor of the mind in against the mind. So mind has no business in itself. So you can make use of your hand to all the actions. But the hand has no action to itself. You can make use of the hand to do many work, but the hand has no work for itself. So in this way, the mind has no work for itself, but the mind has many work in the world, in the external situation. Psychologically, the mind has no work. That we have to understand. When we understand like this, we are giving total freedom to the mind. It functions in a natural way, in a different way. So that is the awakened way of our mind.
So you will mean that the world is not up to us.
The physical world is up to us to act. So the psychological world is not.
The physical world,
So the world is not up to God.
Sorry.
The world is not up to God, to the
The
Supreme.
physical world.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So his question is, the physical world is not being controlled by God. The psychological world, you said initially.
So if you place everything in the hands of God, if you place the physical world in the hands of God, then we have no work. But we should not place the world in the hands of God. We have to take the world in our hands. Then only we can do something. We have to do some of our work. Even though God takes the responsibility, He will do all things through me or through ourselves alone. Through ourselves alone, He will do the work. So here we are important. Our actions are important. Even though God may be responsible to control regulate the world, He has to do through ourselves. So anyhow, we have to do something. Whether the God may be the director, the God may be the custodian, He will ask ourselves to do something, He will make ourselves to do something. So, the main thing is we have to do something. But psychologically we have all. So, you have to understand the difference between the physical work and the psychological work. Physically you have to work. Physical work may be the guidance of God, let it be. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, we have to work.
So if I am hungry, I should not wait for God to give me food in the physical world. I have to go out and search for food.
We have to prepare food or we have to go for food. That we have to do.
We have to eat the food.
God cannot eat for God.
God will not eat for yourself. I have to eat.
Just to extend this question and that question about the clarity of these differences, I want to ask one question. So there's physical world and we grow up. When we grow, we learn many things, and psychologically we create a world inside our head, like in our mind. We create a representation of the outside world inside our mind. With this representation, we plan in the external world and we act. And similarly, in this psychological, internal, representational, shadow-like world here, we also get emotions. So there are two differences. If in the outside world, if there's a physical snake coming or a dog chasing, I have to act. But here, if somebody insults me here now, I have to respond. But psychologically, inside my mind, if I think of an insult which happened 10 years ago, or if I just imagine a dog which was chasing me a few years ago, or a big man trying to attack me, like if I'm just imagining, I need not react to them. So is this what you mean by the difference between these two, psychological world and the physical world?
So it is purely psychological, not related to the external work. So in the physical world, we have to allow it in a natural way. We have no work. For example, we have to understand the difference between the thought and thinking. The thought is unconscious, but the thinking is conscious. But thinking means you are riding upon a thought. The thought comes and goes naturally, but when we make it as a thinking, then we are contributing the thought. Then we are riding upon the thought. So there is no necessity of conscious riding upon the thought. That alone creates problem. So if it is thought, the thought may create any emotion, any feeling, anything, any sensation within yourself, it will go away naturally. But whenever you ride upon a thought and we want to correct anything, if you deliberately do anything psychologically, so the deliberation action within yourself make the thing very complicated. So otherwise it is very simple. Some unnecessary thought may come, unnecessary emotion may come on its own, but it will go away naturally. But whenever you begin to ride upon the thought, then we make it as a thinking, then it will be complicated. So let it be natural. We should not put our hand there. We should not put our conscious hand there. Let it be unconscious, let it be natural, let it be spontaneous. So we should not pay conscious attention to that conscious application there. then if we keep it naturally, whatever comes will go away naturally. You need not try to clear it, anything.
So it means that in the physical world, your advice is not thinking at all.
So in the physical world, related to the physical world, thinking is necessary. Without thinking, we cannot do anything.
Yeah.
Even some thought may come, you can make the thought into thinking, then only you can act. But the physical world is concerned, you have to convert the thought into thinking. Then only you can plan. You can manually, consciously plan something, then only. So the relationship with the physical world is different.
Yeah.
Relationship with the psychological world is different. Psychological world must be natural. Physical world must be artificial. You have manual. You have to use your manual strength, manual planning. Everything you have to do manually.
Only material, something.
We should not rely upon the automatical process, natural process. But we have to give our plan, give our effort, everything we have to, the required plan, required effort, everything you have to take. You have to plan. But the thing, some order must be there, some righteousness must be there. You have to plan. But in the psychological world, there is no righteous, there is no right thing, wrong thing. We have to consider everything as natural. We have no business. We should not estimate anything, this is bad, this is good. Everything is good or everything is bad. So everything is one. There is no difference. The psychological world is concerned, the psychological world must be natural. Then only we can give freedom to the psychological world. The psychological world must be function freely, within a liberated condition. We should not put any restriction on the way.
I want a little clarification. Two of us are there. And psychologically, he likes a rose. I don't like rose. So we are living together. In that situation, how the reactions will come and how we have to behave.
So here, you have to adjust with the partner or any friends or anything. So there is a physical world. In the physical world, you have to adjust with yourself. Sometimes you may have a sensation of rose. Sometimes you may not have the sensation of rose, anything. We have to have some plan, some adjustment. Because in the world is concerned, everybody is having their own interest. Everybody having their own lifestyle. So we have to make some adjustment. We have to make some order. We have to make some regulations. But each and every moment, we have some psychological response. It is natural. For example, whenever you see a good thing, you will have a good response. Whenever you see a bad thing, some bad response will be there. So you need not do anything related to the response. The response must be natural. If you give total freedom to the response, all response will come, the next moment it will go. So naturally, all the response has already gone. After the disappearance of the response alone, we recognize the response. Even before the recognition of a response, it has already gone. When we respond, when we recognize something, there is nothing there. For example, when you see the thunder, the lightning and thunder, the light will be, you will have the flashlight. There's some few seconds later alone, you will have the thunder noise. But when we hear the thunder noise, actually there will be no thunder, there will be no lightning. The lightning and thunder is over when the flashlight is there. So in this way, each and every moment, all the emotions are over when we recognize it. Even before the recognition, all the emotions have already gone. Only the reminiscence, some residue of the responses alone are remaining as a chemical reaction in our body. So the real response, the real emotion has already gone. But when we think, when we behave as if the emotions are there. Actually, there is no necessity to behave like when actually there is no response. But we think some response is there and we behave against the response. When we behave against the response, actually there is no response at all. It has already gone.
I'm wondering about some internal responses that occur over and over. For example, I'm on the back of the scooter with my partner. I don't always feel comfortable riding with him. And I can see that it's actually a mental, mind's projecting some circumstance that's not even happening. But there is some kind of response in the body, even though obviously it's fine. But I'm thinking things like that are things that maybe still show up as thought patterns, repeating themselves. So what I hear you saying is just basically never mind. Is that correct?
So your question is that, so if the real situation is not there, only the memory of the situation
Right.
alone is there.
Right.
So what we have to do is related to the memory and the thought about the situation. So,
Something like that.
So here so it is purely psychological. It is
Right.
not related to any action.
Right.
It is not related to any physical action. So it is purely psychological. Even though whenever you have a thought about some unwanted thing, some chemical reaction will be there. Doesn't matter. But here you have no work. So if it is purely psychological, when it is purely psychological, then there is no work. You have to understand it is purely psychological. You have no work. So when you understand, when you wholeheartedly understand that there is no work within yourself, then you are not doing anything psychologically. When you are not doing anything psychologically, then you are giving freedom to the whole mind to function on its own. So you have to allow the mind to function on its own. So that is the sign of liberation, that is the sign of awakening. So in awakened state, the mind has to function on its own. But at the same time, in the external world is concerned, you can do something for yourself. But in the psychological world is concerned, you have no work. So you have not bring any thought. It is coming on its own. So whatever coming on its own will go away on its own. You have no business. So you have to give total freedom to the work. You should not take any responsibility in the world of psychological world.
So is what you're saying, whatever's arising in the moment, just let it arise and pass on.
So we have to take it as a dream. Because it is a dream, it is not a real thing.
Yeah.
The real thing has already gone. But we are taking as an imagination. Imagination is just like a dream. You imagine the old thing, the thing already gone, disappeared, but we recollect the idea, we recollect the thing, we thought about the old thing, which is not in front of us. And it is only, but here, we need not correct anything. When thinking about something, some unwanted thing, some unwanted chemical reaction may be there within ourselves, but doesn't matter. You have no work to clear yourself, you have no work to keep yourself any unwanted chemical reaction. So let it be the natural way. But whenever you take, when you do not take any responsibility in the psychological world, we are giving total freedom to the natural functioning of our mind. So we have to give freedom to the natural functioning of our mind psychologically. But in the external world is concerned, we have to do something.
So when we suffer from a psychological condition, like some mental issue, where should we put the attention?
What is be good?
Where should the attention be put? Say, for example, I'm suffering from some.
So you need not attend yourself psychologically. So you have to understand that unnecessary thing will come. So, for example, whenever you go for a walk, your shadow will follow you. What you need not attend the. Is it any necessary to attend your shadow? You need not attend. So it is an unwanted thing. Let it be, or whether it may be there or not, you have no business. So you have to understand whether it let it be there or it may go or not. It doesn't matter. So whenever you go along for a walk, the shadow may fall upon a meadow or in a gutter. Doesn't matter. Let it be in this way. Whatever you may have in a psychological world, you have to understand. You have no work. Your understanding is it. You are understanding that you have no work in the psychology.
Even though it causes suffering, like if it causes immense suffering, there's no impulse to.
So here, when you entertain something, when you do something, then only the suffering continues. If you do not understand, if you do not work against your emotions, the emotion will go away naturally. You need not clear any emotion from you. It will clear on its own. But whenever you do something, thereby you are unconsciously or giving strength to the emotion. Otherwise, it will go away naturally. So we think it may be good. It may be good to do something to eliminate all the unnecessary things. But it is only for the beginners. For the beginners, you can do something, some yoga or anything to keep yourself in a peace of mind or in a good sensation or anything. That is good. You can do some meditation, yoga, anything, it is good. But afterwards, you have to understand, you have to find out the importance of giving liberation to the psychological world. That is the second step. The first step, you can do something.
What, according to you, what is the ultimate realization, and what do you think are the main blocks, main hurdles that blocks one from realizing it?
Realizing what?
Whatever it is. I don't know.
We imagine that something is there.
Like what happened in the case of Ramana or Nisargadatta or Papaji, all these.
So, naturally, we may think that something beyond our mind or anything, then we want to grasp this thing beyond our mind. So, their statement will be like that. But the main thing is, upon the statement is that we have to disregard the mind. For example, whenever you go, when you step up in the staircase, you cannot remove the leg unless you step up in the higher step. Unless you step in the higher step, you cannot lift your leg from the lower step. So here, removing the legs from the lower step is important. So in this way, you have to be free from the mind. You have to leave the mind. For that, they presupposes a state in the name of Atma, Brahm, or any ultimate reality. But actually, there is nothing like that. So the main thing is that you have to step away from the mind. You have to give freedom to the mind. So that is the ultimate goal. So whenever you give total freedom to the mind, whenever you step away from the mind goes in a different direction. Before that, it will have a struggle within itself. After, if you understand yourself in a proper way, the mind functions on its own. So that is the main thing. But they are coming to that point in a roundabout way. But that you need not take a roundabout way. It is a straight thing. It is a natural thing. It is related to our real life. It is related to our natural life. But the goal, the Atma or anything may be helpful to a certain extent. If somebody claims some Atma is there, but Buddha denies
Yeah.
there is no Atma. But even though he has realized, he got realization without the help of the state of Atma. But the main thing is that you have to disregard the mind. That is the main thing. You have to step away from the lower step. That's the main thing. Whether you step in the, after fixing your leg in the higher step, and thereby you are removing the leg from the lower step. But at the same time, there is nothing in the name of Atma or in the, but Atma is there. Doesn't matter. I am not disputing that there is no Atma, but that is the pure consciousness. We cannot grasp the consciousness. We cannot. That is known as awareness. With the help of awareness alone, everything goes, everything functions. But we cannot aware the awareness. But what we feel is only the consciousness. With consciousness alone we can feel. We cannot feel the awareness. But if anybody say it is a precondition that everybody must know, everybody feel the awareness, then only we can step away from the mind. That is impossible. But the awareness is the basis structure. Without awareness, nothing is possible. But we need not feel the awareness. Awareness is the base. But we cannot feel the awareness. We need not feel the awareness. The main thing is that we have to be free from the mind. Freedom from mind is common to all. Not only for Ramana, not only for Nisargadatta, everybody is the same. We have to free from the mind. We have to give total freedom to the mind. So that is the main thing.
If there's no questions for 2 minutes, I just wrote this fresh. I can explain this mind. Right? Okay. What am I? Because I will complicate it. Sorry. But don't complicate it. I'll try to make it simple.
No, I cannot see. Can they see?
You can't see?
I'll hold it. Then you can.
This is new thing they're trying.
Now you are able to see. Maybe you are not able to see my face.
So my understanding is that automatically
You are not able to see.
thought starts, it becomes thinking. And a thinking can be about 2 things. About inside our mind, the psychological world, and about the physical world, such as I'm hungry or I have to travel. I have to consciously make decisions, plan, and all those things. But it could be about the psychological world, which is like an insert which happened 10 years ago. So do I need to continue picking it up? No need. So we should not react like a dream, like a shadow. But about the physical world, if I'm hungry, travel back to my home, then to plan that. And based on that, it goes as a decision and this repeats. So I think, I hope I don't want to add confusion. I want to add clarification.
It's okay?
Yeah. Yeah, you can keep it. So if you have any questions, I think you can base answers.
Yeah. Explain.
So கொஞ்சம் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ற மாதிரி கொஞ்சம் என்ன சொல்றேன் என்ன உங்களோட இதுதான் ஸோ பை பர்த் என்ன இருக்கு அதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம்
Regarding the mind.
Disregarding the mind later to the psychological things is a must.
But it's an action or is it not?
In action, we have to regard the mind.
So in the psychological world now you're saying that we have to do an action.
No, the beginning and the end, if it is the beginning and the end in the psychological world, you have to be natural. We have not taken any responsibility within yourself. But at the same time, even with related to the external world and the physical world, we cannot do anything without the help of the mind. So with the help of the mind alone, we can do something in the external world. For that, you can use the mind. You can make use of your mind, plan, thinking, emotion, everything you can make use of that. You can think, you can plan. Some emotions, some good emotion may come, some bad emotion may come. You can make use of the emotion to deal with the situation, deal with the external world. But you have no business to deal with it correctly. Within mind itself, within psychological world itself, we have no business to correct itself. We have to put it in natural way. let it correct for yourself. You have to give, let it correct for yourself. Yeah, I have no connection, I have no command within yourself. You have to come to the conclusion like this.
So he was asking, if we disregard the mind, the psychological state, is that another action?
So if you deliberately disregard the mind, it is against another action.
Right.
So you have to understand. Only by understanding alone, for example, if you deliberately disregard the shadow, that is a conscious action. But if you understand that it is not a matter to disregard the shadow, so the understanding will act. So if you understand there is no business in the mind, your understanding will act. You are not a conscious action. If you try to deliberately disregard the mind, it is against an action within yourself. It is not.
And you also said not to ride on the thoughts.
No?
To ride on the thoughts. The thoughts are
Not to
ride
ride
naturally.
on the thought. Not to ride on the
No,
thought.
not to ride on.
So they say the thought arrive naturally, and you said not to ride on the thought, not to attach the thought, not follow the thought. How this action is being done, and where is this action being done?
So you can ride upon the thought if it is related to the external world. External things, you have to ride upon the thought. Then only you can do something. You can, for example, whenever you have a thought to go to purchase some things, you can adopt the thought, you can write upon the thought and then plan in your own way, then you can execute the thought. So, but at the same time, if you have the thought to, if for example you have a fear and you may have the intention to free from the fear, then you work upon the fear, you think upon the fear, then it is writing for yourself, writing within yourself. So the writing may be good if it is related to the external world, but with it related to the psychological world, the writing is struggling within yourself.
Sir, in my opinion, I do not see any difference between thought and thinking. Thinking also happens automatically whenever it happens. And whatever action that we end up doing in the external world, planning or not planning, it also happens automatically, in my experience.
So if it is automatically, then you let it everything automatically. Then even though it is good, if it is everything is automatically, then that means it will create this liberation within yourself. So if you take everything is automatically, naturally the liberation will be there. But at the same time, some problem will be there. If it is in the external world, we cannot have a good situation, we cannot establish a good situation. For the external is concerned, if you take the stand like that, everything is automatic, it will not be helpful. But in the external world, it will, the deliberate thinking that I have the power to take my decision on it, my own, then only you can have a better performance in the external world. For the world is concerned, you have to have the stand like this. Otherwise, you can take everything as natural, automatic, without any conscious action. Everything is unconscious, everything is natural. And that is good.
I realize that you are saying that I should try to play my part in improving my life, and because I'm a human being, I want to have good experience in this lifetime, and I realize that. But I also realize that ultimately, whatever I do, it's unconscious, it's automatic. I can fool myself thinking that I'm controlling the world or trying to improve my situation or my life. But whatever experience I end up having, I'm not in control of it.
So even though you feel it is uncontrollable, you have to try to control yourself in relation to the external world. But the same control you should not apply within yourself. If it is within yourself, it is okay. You have to give total freedom to yourself. You should not take any responsibility within yourself. But if it is related to the external world, but if it is come to the road, you have to keep the rules and regulations of the...
Completely agree. What is the source of the action in the physical world?
What is the
Source.
resource?
Source.
Source.
Source of action in the physical world.
So source means some situation maybe cannot be the reason for the situation. For example, some lunatic persons enters into the room. You are sitting here, and some lunatic person entered into the room. Here, where is the source? You have no source. You have no. You have no cause for the entrance of the lunatic person. Some other reason may be there. He goes, but here you face the situation. So in the situation when a lunatic person enters into the room, you are facing the situation. Here you have to act. You are in the situation. For that you can select your action. How to manage the person. You may shout, or you may threaten him, or you may afraid of the person to go away and seek the help of the neighbors. Whatever you can do, thereby you can handle the situation. The situation may not be the reason for the situation, but at the same time, if the situation happens to you, you have to face the situation. You have to deal with the situation. So dealing with the situation is on your part. But the situation may not be the reason for the situation. But after the situation arises, you have to do your responsibility to execute the situation.
I don't have to care from which place my action originates.
So only your mind. Mind alone, with the help of the mind alone, you have to think, you have to plan how to handle the situation. With the help of the mind alone, you have to think, you have to act. But the main thing is that all the happening, all the work starts from the mind. But at the same time, the mind should not create any action to deal with itself. The mind has no power, should not do this kind of action to deal with itself. I must be peace of mind always. I should not have any tension. I should not have any fear. I should not have any sorrow. If you think like that and work for that, that means you are working for yourself. You are working for the mind alone. But at the same time, if you work for the situation with the help of the mind, that is good. That is the necessary thing. You have to plan, you have to think, you have to execute. Everything is good. Or if it is related to the physical world, physical situation. But in the psychological world and psychological situation, the doing something against the psychological happening alone is the problem. So you have to understand we have no work in the psychological world.
Who is the you that act with the approach?
So our mind. Mind is the me. If there is no thought, there is no me. If there is no thought, no me is there. If it is, you are in the deep sleep, there is no me. So tomorrow we are going to deal with the topic, who am I? So that's the tomorrow's topic.
When in the psychological world, and there are certain times when the emotion is so strong, like whether it is fear or jealousy or insecurity, like it is really, really strong. And it seems like even though if I don't want to, that there is a impulse to try to control it somehow.
So let it be natural, let it be unconscious. Don't try to escape from the emotion consciously. Let it be unconscious. If some sorrow may be there, some fear may be there, the natural responsibility will be free from the sorrow, free from the sorrow, from the fear. Let it be natural. But don't do it deliberately. I want to be free from sorrow, I must keep myself without fear. So there is a deliberate action against yourself. So don't do it deliberately. Let it be natural. Let it be unconscious. But whenever you feel you are doing something against yourself, the moment you know you are doing against yourself, you can stop doing like that. You can stop fighting with yourself. Let the fight may be there unconsciously. Don't do it consciously.
Tell me if I am right. The way you are describing freedom is to never let the mind trying to understand. Never posing the question why.
So that is the critical state. Because of the inquiry alone, we have to come to a conclusion. You have to come to a conclusion. After coming to a conclusion, then the conclusion says you have no work. Before that, you have to inquire. Otherwise, you cannot come to the conclusion. Till you come to the conclusion that you have no work psychologically, you have to inquire. You have to ask question, raise question, discuss. Then you have to come to a conclusion. So your conclusion must say you have no work. Your understanding must say that there is no work. Before coming to the conclusion and understanding, you have to work. You have to inquire. You have to ask question. You have to discuss.
In a practical way, for example. But for example, in the previous question, it was like something happened. Okay, I react naturally and I let it going like this. But then the mind say, what is this samsara? What is this kind of attraction? And then the mind tries to understand why this happened to me. Why? So this kind of riding these thoughts, you don't allow.
So external world is concerned, you need not worry about why this thing happened like this. But here, it is endless game. Even though whether we are enlightened or liberated, the external world will be like that. There is no difference in the external world. The external world will continue like that. The external world will not change. But because of your understanding, your structure of our mind will change. Before your understanding, you may have a struggle within yourself. So after the understanding, there will not be struggle within yourself. You will be all right, you will be total within your mind. So you will have that total mind within yourself. When you struggle within yourself, you make yourself into two parts. The one part is struggling with yourself to control yourself. The one part assumes the role of the I am, the me. The other part is the experience. The experiences tries to control the experience. So thereby we make the mind into two parts, and one part is against the other part. So related to the external world, the mind is whole. With the whole mind, with the total mind, you can deal with the mind, deal with the external thing. So there will be whatever may be, you have to deal with the external world. There is no change in the external world. You may try to change the world. Otherwise, if it is not possible, you can go along with the world. That is matter. But at the same time, struggling within yourself is unnecessary thing. You have to stop the unnecessary thing. If you do not struggle within yourself, and if you do not divide your mind into two parts, and one part is in struggle with the other part, that is meaningless. So, when you understand, the struggle within yourself goes away. So you will have a unitary consciousness, unitary mind, some total mind. The total mind is a liberated mind. So if you have the liberated mind, you will have a different kind of life within yourself. So when you have a different kind of life within yourself, naturally it will affect the situation also. But it will be natural. You need not worry for that. But at the same time, whether the other people understand your liberation or not doesn't matter. As a human being, as an ordinary human being, you can react with the world, or live along with the world. That is different. But within yourself, you are a different thing. Moment by moment, you are a new one. There is no old thing. Because psychologically, each and every moment is a new moment. There cannot be any old moment in the psychological world. Each and every moment alone, every moment, new moment alone is there. There cannot be any old moment. So whenever you give total freedom to your mind, you are new, moment by moment new. So you are not the old one, moment by moment new. So your total mind becomes a living river. It is not a static one. It is not struggling within yourself. So for that, you have to understand you have no work within our life. So that is a prerequisite. For that, you have to understand you have to inquire in all respect, in all ways. You have to inquire the matter and find out. For the help of that, we can get the help of many masters or anything, everything can help. But the main thing is you have to find out for yourself. That is the end. Even though many persons explain, the last thing must happen is that you have to understand. So your understanding matters.
There are two things here. One, the controlling the thoughts. You don't move any thoughts come. Other thing, they choose the thoughts. Whatever you want to act, you act. Other thing, you don't attend to it. Is that?
So psychologically, you need not attend the thought. Psychologically, you need not attend the thought, need not control the thought. But in the external world is concerned, you have to regulate your thought, regulate your thinking. Then only you can plan. You can plan something for your achievement, for your actions, or anything. You have to regulate. Then only you can have a good thought, correct thinking. Then only you can plan. But psychological world is concerned, you have no business. Whatever comes in the natural way, let it be in the natural way. You have no plan. You have no idea to execute.
So if there's a sorrow, you cry. So don't control it. And so you just cry off and let it go.
So here, sorrow is different and the crying for the sorrow is different. So that is the action. Sorrow is an emotion. The crying is a thing out of the emotion. So that is thing. For example, when the anger is different and the expression of anger is different. Anger is something different and the expression of anger is different. So here the expression is related to the external things. But the anger is purely psychological. But you need not worry about the anger. But you may have some concern with the expression of anger. So it is related with the other people. If you express the anger, the other people also will express the anger against your anger. So some unnecessary clash will be there. So you have to be in a polite way. You have to, for that, the necessary thing alone is there. You need not worry about the anger. In the earlier session, I have explained the situation of the behavior of a dog. The dog frightened. But he does not express the fear. If the dog expresses the fear as it comes, it will be bitten by the other dogs. But in spite of the fear, he is able to express the related thing, some necessary thing. So that will be the response related to the external world. But in the psychological world is concerned, you have no work. You have no work to correct yourself psychologically.
The aspects of ourselves which we don't like, right? Which we find maybe hard to accept, certain issues and stuff. how do we create enough space in ourselves to allow this to be? Because there are certain things that we don't like, and obviously the natural tendency is to get rid of it. And the question that I have is, how do we create in ourselves that space for this?
For the change of this emotions, creating the space to change the emotion.
No, not to change the emotion, but to be with the emotion, even though it's unpleasant. Because naturally we want to resist this, we don't want this. And you say that we need to allow this to have its natural
So
flow.
allowing the emotion is not at all necessary. You need not allow the emotion. But here you find no work there. Whether you allow or deny, let it be unconscious. But you do not have any conscious action within yourself. You need not watch the emotion, you need not allow the emotion. So if you take any action, any stand, it is action of yourself. There should not be any action of yourself in the name of allowing, in the name of disregarding. So there should not be any action on your part. It must be natural. Let it be come, let it go. If it is continuous, let it continue. We have no work. So for example, you are the owner of the next house. And you can safeguard the house, and some relatives and some expected person around can come into the house. And one day you sold the house to some other person. So afterwards, you have no business to safeguard whether whoever to come and whoever should not come. So you have no business. So in this way, you have to give away the psychological world. So good emotion may come, bad emotion may. You have no work. So if you take any work within yourself, you take the mind into two parts. One is me, the other person is the expression, the experience. So actually the mind must be total. There should not be any division within yourself. Whenever you select something this way or that way, then you unnecessarily create a division within yourself. So psychological world must be total. There should not be any division. There should not be any part for yourself to act.
But there is division. So how do I?
Let it be a natural division. Maybe there, for example, whenever you have fear or sorrow, naturally you want to be free from fear. Naturally you want to be free from sorrow. Let it be natural. But don't take a deliberate decision to correct yourself. So here think that we may have some understanding that these are the good things we have to maintain. These are the bad things we have to remove. We have a list like that. We have to break down the list. Then only we will be all right within yourself. There should not be any good thing to maintain. There is no bad thing to remove. So psychologically, there is no selected place. Whatever comes in the natural way, let it be natural. You have to come to understanding like this. It is not a work. If you take the understanding as a work, as a decision to execute, then once again in the name of understanding you are struggling within yourself. So here you have to understand, after understanding the matter is over. So your concern must be only in the physical world, in the external world. For that you can work, you can plan, you can execute anything, whatever you understand you can execute. But here the understanding alone will be enough. After understanding, you need not execute the understanding. If you try to execute the understanding, it will be against yourself. It will create another war, another struggle within yourself. So here, the matter is over. When you understand, you have no work within yourself. As you have sold out the house, you have no concern to safeguard whoever enter into the room, enter into the house or not. You have no concern. So in this way, you should not have any concern within yourself. Further, you have to understand like this. If you don't have the understanding, you have to inquire and come to understanding. So understanding is the main thing. If you think that we have some work, how to work like that, that's not the way. Psychological world is concerned. The question how to work is not the real question. The external world is concerned, you have to understand how to work. But if the psychology world is concerned, the understanding alone is important. You have to understand. The understanding will operate on its own.
So you are saying the psychological world, all my pains and my old insults and all the bad emotions, the only way to heal them is to not to touch them. Like if you want to continue thinking, or if you want to, if I deliberately make an effort to throw it away, also it will only strengthen those emotions. So the only way of self-healing is to ignore it completely. It self-heals automatically.
So, whenever you, for example, you put down an apple, it is totally and whole, and it will easily roll and flow away. So if we cut the apple into two and place the apple here, if we put the apple here, it will be there always. You cannot roll. So whenever the mind is total, so one part is I am, the other part is the experience, then it is real. When it is real, it is already, it is stuck, and it will be there always. It will always create the struggle within ourselves. If you do not divide yourself, divide your mind into one part, into two parts, I am the person, I am the controller to control myself, then you make it into two parts, it will have a conclusion, it will not roll. It will not be total mind. If the mind is total, it will roll, it will flow freely. So the free mind is the solution for all psychological problems. So if it is divided mind into two parts, then you are strengthening in some way or other, you are strengthening the problem. For the time being you may be alright by dividing yourself into two parts. So that is in the yoga process you are dividing into two parts. But for the time being you may be alright. With the help of yoga alone, you may control yourself. So for the time being you may be alright. But if you are natural, if you do not divide yourself into two parts, in the natural process itself everything will alright.
But in the psychological world, all the emotions or whatever we don't like or like is like the quicksand.
Yeah.
Quicksand. So anyway we want to escape,
It will swallow you
more and more.
Yeah.
So just stay. Like any activity either for or against will sink me inside. But if I just don't do anything, maybe the self-healing will
So here, you have to understand like this. When we understand that when we do not select any good thing within the mind, it makes you activate to do something. So we should not find any good thing within yourself. So you have to take everything as natural. So all good and bad is created by ourselves. So we should not apply our judgment within ourselves. We should accept everything is as natural. If you select anything, this is good, then we work for the good. If you name anything as bad, then we'll work for the removal of the bad. So, in psychological world is concerned, there is no good thing, there is no bad thing. Everything is natural.
Yeah. You mentioned something before about you make a division between the emotion and the expression of the emotion. In case of anger and the expression of anger. Or sadness and the expression like crying. But it seems like if I take responsibility of the expression and I try to control the expression, it can cause something like either repression or sometimes it's not in my control. And trying, because it's not appropriate, and we make this division between the inner and the outer, it can create something which back internally, trying to control, because it's not possible to really control the expression. So
here, for example, you purchase a glassware, glassware, and you place the glassware. It's a beautiful glassware, in a costly glassware, and you place the glassware in the teapot of your hall. And one day, your child aged around 3 or 4 years old, pulled down the glassware and broken down. So immediately you got anger. The next moment you give a blow to your child in the anger. That means you express the anger into action. So here the anger comes, you express the anger in action. So express the happening of emotion and the expression of emotion. Happening of anger and the expression of emotion. Expression of anger. So this in the same way, some close friend or close relative come to your house with the same age child. That child also broken down the glassware in the same way. So on seeing that, immediately you have the anger. But you will not give a blow to the relative child. So here what happens, what is the difference between your child and the other child? So if the anger creates the action, the same anger will create the anger expressing for the two situations also. But in one situation, you express the anger. In the second situation, you did not express the anger. But when the boy broken down the glassware, the child is very afraid, very fear of punishment or anything. So you immediately console the boy. Instead of expressing anger, you console the boy. So here, in the first case, when you have the anger, you adopt the anger, you take the anger in your hand and you give some expression. In the second instance, you did not take the anger in your hand. But at the same time, when you do not take the anger in your hand, the anger goes away from you. Whenever you take the emotion in your hand, then only it will have some power. Whenever you do not take the anger in your hand, you may have another emotion. You may, but on seeing the boy in an afraid condition, you may have the emotion to control him, to console him. So you will have the emotion, you will have the love to console him. Instead of anger, you have the love to console him. But in one another situation, for example, you are working in a job in a company, and you are having a boss superior to you, and the boss committed a wrong, and after committing a wrong, he blamed you as if you have committed the wrong. So immediately you have the anger upon the boss to deal with him some way or other. So you take the anger in your hand. So whenever you take the anger in your hand, but you are thinking afterwards, you think if you express the anger upon the boss, he will be punished without a job. You will be removed from the job. Also on fearing upon the job, fearing upon the security of the job, you suppress the anger. So the suppression happens only after taking the anger in your hand alone is possible when suppression is necessary. Otherwise, if you do not take the anger in your hand, the suppression is not necessary. So in all emotions is concerned, the suppression is necessary when we take the emotion in our hand. If you do not take the emotion in your hand for action, the emotion goes away naturally. You need not suppress. Suppression is not necessary. Whenever you take the emotion for the expression and we are unable to express the anger because we cannot express the anger upon the superior officer, then only we are suppressing. The suppression alone damages ourselves. But not taking the action, taking the emotion in our hand will not damage ourselves. Whenever we do not take our emotion in our hand, the emotion goes away naturally. It is not a suppression.
Here I have got one question. An ordinary person and an enlightened person like you. An ordinary person, something does not happen good, he gets angry. Similar way, one enlightened person, something does not happen, will he not get angry? This is question number one. Question number two is that anger, for this person, it may be say half an hour or more time also. How much time will be for an enlightened person?
So here, when we do not take any action, any emotion in our hand, The next moment, actually, whatever is the form of emotion, it has already disappeared. The disappeared alone, the reminiscence and the residue of the expression emotion alone, we can feel. We cannot feel any emotion. Whenever if you are feel any emotion, anger or fear, when you at the time of your recognizing something, it has already gone. It is not there. It is for all, not only for the not only for the enlightened people.
There is no difference.
There is no difference between the ordinary people and the enlightened people. It is all for the same. It is same for the all. But the only thing is that the ordinary people will give strength to the emotion. Renew the emotion. But the enlightened person will not remove the emotion. He will go away without renewing the emotion. So that is the difference between the both. But emotion may come, because later to the external world, there is a response. Each and even though he is enlightened or anything, the response will be same. But psychological alone, the approach towards the expression will be different. He will not struggle within himself. He will allow everything to go on its own way. But the ordinary person will take the actual emotion in her hand and try to do something related to that, psychological or physically. So that is the difference.
One more question. Which is the limit between the inner and the outer?
Which is the
limit between the inner and the outer? Which is the psychological and the worldly?
Limit.
What is
psychological
Demarcation. How do you separate the inner and the outer?
So the situation is outer, the response to the situation is inner. Reaction. For example, whenever you stand in front of a mirror, you are before the mirror, you are real. The image upon the mirror is unreal. In this way, the conception within your mind is psychological. The emotion or your idea about something is purely psychological. But whatever is in the external world, we know everything only with the help of the mind. Everything is within ourselves. Everything is within our mind. Even though the external situation may be there, we understand the situation with the help of the mind alone. Here, we use the mind with the help of the mind alone, with our emotion or anything. We can make use of the mind to the situation. But the main thing is that we should not use our mind against the dealings of the mind, against the happenings of the mind. The happenings of the mind is different from the happenings of the external things. So everything happens within our mind. Everything is psychological. Only because of the mind alone, we can understand the situation. If the mind is not functioning, we cannot understand the situation. So the understanding is psychological. But even though we understand everything within the psychological world, there is no work within ourselves, within the mind. Without the mind, we can do something. With the help of the mind, we can do something in the external world. That you have to find out. So you have to work, and what is the border, what is the demarcation. You have to also work.
So you are not the authority.
But I can verify whether he is explanation, whether he is whether he is correct or not. We can verify. Validate or correct. We can validate the correctness of that. Understand?
I don't say so. Because I wanted to ask, so how does understanding comes? But this is the topic for tomorrow. So I have to wait till tomorrow. Or can you tell it today?
For today's class, so we all understood everything. All questions vanished.
Yesterday class also you can.
No, I think the understanding comes through listening, from contemplating, from thinking about it, from looking at our own lives and applying what you're saying. and seeing if it's true or not in our own lives, I think that's how the understanding comes, isn't it?
No.
And by questioning all our doubts about what you say, to eradicate doubt. And what you're saying, I think that's correct, isn't it? In terms of how the understanding comes, is through inquiry.
No, understanding comes only because of inquiry. Because we have many thought, many concepts and many ideology. Out of all ideology, out of our many experiences, and we have to come to a correct way conclusion. And we have to come to a logical frame, and we have to have verify in all ways it must be prove itself correct. Then we have to come to a correct conclusion. Then we come to a correct conclusion. Then afterwards we need not keep the conclusion within all ways in one hand, and we deal with everything with the understanding. So if you understand properly, you may forget the understanding.
Right, then we can forget the understanding.
The understanding
Right.
itself. You will not stick with the understanding.
Yeah. Then it will just happen. Then it will just happen spontaneously and naturally, because the understanding is there. So for the realized person, everything can be the same. Mind is the same, emotions can be the same, responses can be the same, but there's absolutely, as a result of the understanding, there's no attempt to do anything with it, with the mind, with the response. But with the unrealized person, mind can be the same, but the understanding isn't there, so the duality is maintained, and the effort is maintained, and the suffering is maintained. Is that correct?
The main thing is that if you understand, the mind is in the liberated state, it is in the flowing state.
Yeah.
Whatever comes in the flowing state, it will be very easily flowing.
Right.
For example, we are having some table with a weight of 50 kilos, and if you want to remove if you move the table, we have to use the weight more than 50 kilo. But if it is this table has the wheel, it is very, with the finger we can, the fingertip we can move it. So in this way, if you are liberated, all the emotion may come, but it is moving very freely, without creating any mark in the base of the surface. It is without any friction, it will very easily flow. So there is a difference between two. All emotions come, but moving freely, without any creating any mark.
I have one question. When you say any emotion which we get is already dead, it is past, it doesn't have any value. That's what you say. But in our life, we believe our emotions are like real. Even my friend insulting me 10 years ago, I think about it now, I get the emotions. Like that thought comes, then I think about it, then the emotion comes. That the emotion is very real for me. Even though the insult or pain or failure happened 10 years ago, today if I get that emotion, for me it is real. Even in my body, I feel my blood pressure rising, I feel the anger rising or the pain rising, maybe tears also in my eyes. Why do you say that it is dead? Even though I feel it like real now, why do you say the emotion is already dead and I need not act on it?
So for example, you take the lightning and the thunder. The lightning comes, and afterwards the thunder noise comes. Now when you listen the thunder noise, is it really there?
Lightning is not
It
there.
looks it is there, but it is not really there. Only the flashlight alone is real, but only the duration of reaching the sound to you, it may take some time. So in this way, whenever you have some emotion, it will create some psychological, some physical, chemical change. The chemical change may last some more time, but the psychological response goes just like a flashlight. But we do not concern with the flashlight. But we concern with the chemical changes. The chemical changes may seem it lost some more time. But actually, when in the name of fear or anything, you feel the chemical change alone. the psychological response is already gone, just like the flashlight. Only the chemical changes alone remains. So you think the fear comes, the fear exists for some more time. And you're thinking that the fear is existing, you do something against that. So doing something against that creates a division within yourself and the emotion. Thereby you are creating some unnecessary struggle within yourself. So the duality within yourself creates more problem. So if you are total without any division within yourself, the total mind flows like a whole apple. But if it is divided into two, it cannot be full, it cannot roll freely. It will be stuck wherever we put.
So there's no usage for real life in the external world. Is there any usage for this emotion or the body reaction, which is like after death in the external world?
So external world with the bodily reaction, it can make you some inducement to do something. For example, whenever you have the fear, then only you can escape from a snake. Whenever you can escape from a dangerous animal. So your fear comes for your health. You can take it as a positive way to deal with the situation. But in itself, you need not worry about that. Whether it is relevant later to the situation or not alone is the question that you have to make use of that. But in itself, it is meaningless. Whatever maybe you may think, it is good to be without any fear. It is good to be always in peace of mind. That is the problem. If you think like that, if you presupposes a state of a height within yourself, then only it creates a problem within yourself. So it makes you keep somewhere else. I must be like that, I should not be like that. Then only you are struggling within yourself. When you divide yourself into action and ideology. So actually you are somebody and your ideology may be something. I may be with fear, but we may have the idea that I should not have any fear. I may be without any, with some attention, but we may have the peace of mind. So we unnecessarily create a psychological height. But actually, wherever you are in the highest state. We have to treat everything in the highest state. We are the real moment, the real expression is the highest state. Then only it will have the change. The change will be natural. We cannot create the change within ourselves. The change must be natural. You may deliberately do some change in the world, change in the situation, but if you use the same strategy within ourselves, it will be endless. The game will be within endless. So the awakening and liberation is not possible. So liberation means and awakening may be natural state of the mind. Our mind must function in a natural state. Then only it can be called as liberation or awakening.
Living in a particular way of life, that means I live in a society, things are happening around, I get my emotion, based on the emotion I do the work. It may be somebody may be in the anger situation or some other situation. Right now you are telling there is a psychological mind and we have to do all that. Now you have understood. It is there, understanding is concerned. But when I go to practical life, I cannot spend time to analyze whether it is psychological mind or some other mind and do the work. The work takes place by itself. So when do I change my activities? Basically I have to change my activities, the way of working, which is for a better life.
So here you take the example of the dog. When the dog faces the situation, naturally it has the fear. If you express the fear in its action, it will run immediately. When it has the fear, it will run immediately. If it runs immediately, everything will jump upon it and sprang upon it. And it will bite upon the dog. So even though the fear comes, it does not take the fear in action. But if we reject the fear and it does not take the anger in the hand, so new action comes. the new emotion comes. So when the new strategy comes. So in this way, don't take your emotion in hand. Then the situation may be different. The situation may require some other response from you. So you take the situation afresh. And when you require the situation, some required emotion will come naturally. For example, whenever you try to take the suitcase weighing 50 kilograms, the very intention to lift the suitcase, the necessary energy will come. So in this way, if you want to deal with the situation, necessary emotion will come from you to deal with the situation.
In my early ages, I had no fear of dogs, so I was just walking. And then suddenly one barked me, just from behind, I didn't even saw it. So it happened like 3 times, like this, and then I started to feel kind of fear. Not strong, but still there. So then when I walk near dogs, I look at them, and then somehow I appreciate that it's dangerous or not. So if it's not, I'm just walking away. Otherwise I see it's dangerous and I pretend I'm not afraid. But I can feel it, you know. And so they never bite me again, but the day before they just attacked me midday, not night, midday. So what's happening here? How to deal? What can I do?
Here you have to meet the situation some way or other. If you select the situation, some necessary response will come from yourself. How to deal with the situation. So that will come necessary. But there is some response, natural response will be fear. Whenever you have some unwanted thing, the natural response will be in the form of fear. But at the same time, the fear may not be. If you take the fear in your hand, you will run away from the scene. If you run away, the other thing will chase upon you. But even though you have the fear, the thing is that how to face the situation. If you think how to face the situation, the new kind of emotion will come. The new kind of emotion will deal with the situation.
What I did, I took this and I was because they were, at the beginning was 1, but at the end they were 5. So it was kind of very strong situation. So I started to roll around with this, and so after a few meters they...
But anyhow, you are not it is not the expression of fear. If it is the expression of fear, what will you do is only running.
Okay.
But here you are not running. That means you are not executing the fear.
So I was facing...
you are facing in a different way. According to the situation, you are not using your fear. But you meet the challenge. You challenge the situation in a different way.
Yeah, I saw last night from my balcony like 4 or 5 dogs attacking one dog.
Mm.
And he was really just standing there. The tail was up like this, and he was but not showing fear. He was like majestic like this, and only like a few steps, and then again, and then again.
And when you have sufficient space,
and then I saw the situation from above, and I just clapped like this, and the other were like this. In this moment, he ran.
Even though you did not clap, it is gaining the space for the running.
Yes.
So it's slowly gaining the space for the running, and it will run, even though you did not clap.
Yes, it was amazing.
You disregard the fear and use the situation in a different strategy. You find out a different strategy to face the situation.
Famous participants.
Day after tomorrow, that is the final session. Today, this year, we are having only 4 classes. And the day after tomorrow, we have the confirmation classes for the confirmation for understanding and the enlightenment. tomorrow we'll have the topic.
Shall we take a group photo? Is it okay?
If they already so.
Is this for selling?
Come, you are the tallest person.
Yeah. For sale.
How tall? How big?
6 foot.
Photo.
So we are on the best.
I'll take a photo.
This, oh, that's just, oh, that was.
Oh, the book. Actually, we have the inside. We have the inside. Yeah.
Picture,
This copy.